Come to what we call the mathematical paradox. Math, indeed, sometimes behaves strangely. The behavior of mathematics may not always be predictable even when we go for simple calculation, simple arithmetic calculation like percentage and average. Percentage and average, something which is taught to even a child, middle school child, class 5, class 6, but even then, you know everything is okay, but then everything is not okay. For instance, we know the average of A and B is A plus B divided by 2. The average of two quantities A and B is A plus B by 2, but we will show you when it can lead to misleading consequences. It will lead to absurd results which are not true. A plus B by 2 may not always be the average for A and B. Similarly, everywhere you calculate percentage, but in some cases, it may lead you to an absurd result. We will show that particularly when you combine two processes like calculating the percentage and then calculating the average, how it could be misleading. That is a mathematical paradox. Mathematical paradox. We will show one such example of mathematical paradox. I have a boy and a father. His father is a mathematics professor. The boy's father is a mathematics professor, a very learned man, a great mathematician. So the boy, he had a test in school and he got 15 marks out of 20. The test was out of 20, he got 15 marks. So his father calculated it as 15 out of 20, that is 75%. And he calculated it by two different methods, not only one method, by two different methods. And he was sure that the average, the percentage is 75. So he said, you have scored 75% in this test. And he showed it. The boy even checked it using a calculator. It was perfect. 15 out of 20, it means 75%. So the boy accepted. Yes, I got 75%. Sometime, that is after a few days, the boy had another test in the same subject. So this time, the test was out of 10, not out of 20. The test was out of 10. And the boy scored 6 marks. So his father again calculated it. 6 out of 10, that is 60%. And again he verified by calculating in two different methods. He also got the calculator and he checked that yes, the boy also accepted. Yes, my score is 60%. So that's okay. He got 75% in the first test and 60% in the second test. So much is all and well. His father, who was a mathematics professor, he now took out both the results. He said in the first test, it was 75%. In the second test, it was 60%. So how do we calculate the average? We add the 2 and divide by 2. The average of two quantities, we add them and divide by 2. So he added and divided by 2. So he said 75 plus 60, that is 135, divided by 2, that is 67.5%. So he said your average score is 67.5%. That's okay. Whenever we calculate average of two numbers, we add them and divide by 2. So he said 75% and 60%. The average will be 67.5%. But now the boy had a doubt. The boy was wondering whether his mathematician father was correct or not. Now, nowadays children are very tech savvy. They know all the things, how to use artificial intelligence, how to use computers, how to use mobile phones. So the boy asked this question to some artificial intelligence app. Maybe Grok. Nowadays Grok is trending, or it was Chat GPT. Somewhere he put the question. But that artificial intelligence replied, no, this is not correct. Your father is saying you got 67.5% average. This is not correct. So his mathematician father, with careful calculation, impeccable, you can't find a fault anywhere. But the artificial intelligence is saying, no, your father is wrong. So where did his father go wrong? Why is it incorrect? Let us see. Calculate the boy's performance. So in the first test, as you can see, he got 15 marks and the full marks 20. In the second test, he got 6 marks, the full marks 10. So if we add the total marks obtained 15 and 6 21 and the full marks 20 and 10 30. So he got 21 out of 30, but 21 out of 30 is 70%, not 67.5. 21 out of 30 is coming 70%, not what his mathematician father calculated. He calculated 67.5%, but it is coming 70%. So what is the problem? Where is the paradox in mathematics? This is what initially it was our question, the mathematics paradox. Why in some cases, even simple things we have done, we have not gone into any complicated one, like division by zero, no algebra, no coordinate geometry, no calculus. We have done a simple thing, calculating the percentage and calculating the average, and yet the great mathematics professor, he got a wrong answer. Let us see why. Let us see where and how did the mathematics professor go wrong. The trouble was that he was dealing with a compound or derived quantity. Why is it compound or derived quantity? There are two different sets of parameters. There are two different sets of variables. One is marks obtained and one is full marks. Marks obtained and full marks, and both the parameters were different. In one case the full marks was 20, in one case the full marks was 10. So when you are converting to percentage, what you are assuming? You are assuming that the full marks is 100. 6 out of 10, 60%. You are assuming that the full marks is 100. 15 by 20 means 75%. You are assuming that the full marks is 100. So in both the cases, you are assuming an equivalence which is derived by you, which was not there in the original. The original, the full marks were not 100 for each test. You have assumed, that is your assumption, that is your derivation, that is your calculation. You have put an equivalent ratio. So when you have an equivalence derived, then you can trust on it for a single conversion, but not for a double conversion. So long as you are taking the percentage, it was okay. But again, when that percentage, you computed the average, then another calculation upon a derived quantity, then it gave you a misleading answer. Then it gave you a misleading answer. So that is the reason a derived quantity with more than one parameter, when you subject it to further computation like average in this case, it might lead you to a wrong answer. This is the mathematical paradox. Math is correct, but you have to understand when to apply average, on what type of quantities to apply average, whether it is raw data or derived data. Without knowing that, if you just blindly apply the average of A and B is A plus B divided by 2. In that case, it would lead Ultimately, it could lead to a wrong answer. So that was the paradox in mathematics. So I hope you found it useful, informative, and interesting. We will come back with more useful videos. Till then, thank you and goodbye.